Welcome to the podcast, Married in Media, featuring Allison Seymour and Marc Clark. And we had a chance to sit down with one of our favorite people in the world, media personality, political pundit, off the chain, funny, bright, brilliant person, Olivia Fox. And we were talking about the day after the debate, the debate 2020. And it went a little something like this. Oh, don't forget, we got to thank our sponsors, the official drink of Allison and Marc in the afternoon and the Allison and Marc Married in Media podcast, Delicious Beverage. Go to www.deliciousbeverage.com, use my code MARC, M-A-R-C 2020, and get 20% off that delicious beverage. And as promised, we have on the line one of our favorite media celebrities and political analysts / pop culture critics. Olivia Fox joins us. What's up, Olivia Fox?
Hello.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you something. Olivia Fox might just be a genius. I talked to Olivia before the debate, and Olivia said Trump is backed up against the wall and he's about to burn things down.
Didn't I say?
You were there.
I said a rabid, mad animal is worse at the end.
Olivia, how did you know?
He may say,
how did you know?
Well, here's the thing. You have to remember, he hasn't really debated since the Republican debates. And you remember how incredibly crazy it was. I mean, they were talking about hand size and penis size. You remember when it was all, you remember, right? So, he had not been challenged, in over 4 years. Okay. So that's the first thing. He has failed his whole situation, the handling of COVID, the race relations, with the Supreme Court. People don't like him. It's just his administration in this whole 4 years has been a major fiasco with a couple of, and I'm not going to say it's all been a mess because there have been a couple of things that he has been able to do. I haven't benefited from it, but the wealthy have. But all in all, it's been a disaster. And so when you put a rabid, wounded, mentally ill person under those types of pressure, under that type of pressure, and be challenged, it was what I expected it to be, only worse. It was truly a shit show.
Right, you said somebody on TV actually said that on television.
The TV anchor, the first anchor. I wish I've got the sound of it if you want it. But the first anchor said it is a hot mess inside a garbage bin, on fire in a garbage bin on a crashing train, something to that effect. It was a trifecta of disaster, basically. And then the TV anchor came and said, lack of a better word, it was a show. She said it live on the air.
Wow.
And I fell on the carpet and rolled around. If there had been a stronger moderator, they could have possibly saved it. But there were so many instances where I believe that he was in a peculiar situation because he works for Fox, which of course we all know leans towards the right, conservative, and pseudo-supports Trump and his propaganda. So I think he may have found himself in a peculiar situation because, he's working for who he works for, but he wanted to seem fair and balanced. He has had run-ins with Trump in the past, if you know.
Yeah.
But he wasn't assertive enough. There were so many instances where we were literally in this house screaming and watching Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, but the number one trend was, shut up, man, will you shut up? When Biden you could just see the frustration in his face. And I think Biden did an okay job based on the situation, but I think if there was someone that was a little bit more swifter, a little bit stronger, like a Kamala.
Yeah.
There were so many missed opportunities where he could have said things where he did not.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it had to do with what Trump was doing. And I think it was intentional. I mean, he's obviously mad. He's mentally ill. The man is ill. But I think a lot of what his strategy has always been is to deflect, distract, destroy.
Yep.
But he just went beyond anything I or many, many others expected for him to go. I mean, he just went so incredibly low. You know, one point in particular that really struck me, it was just a filth, was when, Biden was talking about his son who, was in Iraq. And then Trump, instead of showing a piece of humanity and empathy, he ended up just going in on his other son and brought up drugs until finally Biden had to say, yes, like many Americans. I mean, he did well with it. He spun it well. But see, there's certain things you just don't do. He should not have done that.
No.
But again, we're talking about a person who is who is a textbook sociopath. He has no empathy. He doesn't care about people. He's a sadist. He's a narcissist. And he's incredibly ignorant. So when you're dealing with that type of, personality, you get what you got. And it was a hot mess. And Chris Wallace should be never, ever, ever, ever.
Man.
He shouldn't debate a high school team. He shouldn't debate a pit bull fight.
We're talking with media personality Olivia Fox. We're going to take a break and come back. The debate. Yes, we're going to talk about missed opportunities for Uncle Joe, but he did have some strong moments. And then talk about black folks and racism. No, Trump didn't. We'll be back.
Oh, my God.
We'll be back. Allison Marc in the afternoon on 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM. 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM. Allison Marc in the afternoon, talking with media personality / political commentator / a friend of Allison and Marc for over 20 years, Olivia Fox. Olivia?
Allison, what a mess.
When they asked Trump about the race situation, and he hit him with a pointed question. Basically, would you denounce?
Right.
Would you denounce basically the racist organizations?
He said, "Would you denounce white supremacy?" And he did not answer that question.
He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do it. As a matter of fact, if you listen very carefully, when he was talking about the Proud Boys, he said, "I will tell the Proud Boys to step back and step up, or step aside and wait." Something to the effect of step aside and wait. So he didn't say, go away, sit down, you're wrong, I'm against you. He basically he just lit a switch. They've got to be, the Proud Boys and the rest of those white supremacist racist Nazis have got to be celebrating, because he did not say they were a terrorist organization. He didn't deny them. He didn't. To me, if anything, he just really, egged them on even more. It was a dog whistle. Terrible.
Olivia, online. So people are saying also, okay, well, on the other side, did Joe Biden say, I support Black Lives Matter? They're questioning that too. But it's so interesting because our 18-year-old, who is even more of a radical than I ever was in my youth, period, she's like, well, I get it. Like, we want him to say that, but maybe he can't say it because then whatever. But what did you think about that point? I wasn't as disappointed when he did not say unequivocally, yes, I support Black Lives Matter, versus when Trump did not denounce white supremacy. But what do you think about it?
Well, I think he's in a situation. First, let me just say this: there are some black people that don't.
Oh, sure.
Black
Oh,
Lives
yeah,
Matter.
of course, right.
There are a lot of people who feel that the movement has been gentrified, so to speak.
Right, right, sure.
But it didn't bother me, because I know what he's up against. It's not just black folks that are, that he's trying to get. He's trying to get white suburban women. He's trying to get, the undecided, the voters. He's trying to get the progressive Democrats. I mean, he's trying to appease a lot of different people. And Black Lives Matter, even though I'm a strong supporter of it, is a hot topic for many people because Trump and his administration and the propaganda machine that is Fox News has basically lumped everyone in together under Black Lives Matter, like they do with most things that have the word black attached to it.
Right.
They have lumped rioters in with Black Lives Matter. They have linked Antifa into Black Lives Matter. They've made it all one big movement. And those of us who know there is a clear difference. But, he had to be careful with how he handled that question. But on the other hand, I feel like there was so much confusion and so much mouth from Trump that was going on. It's quite possible that, I'll have to go back and look at the tape because I videotaped the whole thing. But, it was just the whole conversation was just so chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
There may be, and I might just be, pro-Biden, riding with Biden, but it may have been a situation where there was so much going on, he didn't. And maybe he didn't know he did. Or maybe he didn't and he knew he did and, that was what he wanted to do. Who knows? But it didn't bother me as much as him, Trump, not being able to say, these white supremacists and, all the rest of the organizations are a major terrorist threat to this country. The greatest threat to this country as it is right now.
Welcome to the podcast, Married in Media, featuring Allison Seymour and Marc Clark. And we had a chance to sit down with one of our favorite people in the world, media personality, political pundit, off the chain, funny, bright, brilliant person, Olivia Fox. And we were talking about the day after the debate, the debate 2020. And it went a little something like this. Oh, don't forget, we got to thank our sponsors, the official drink of Allison and Marc in the afternoon and the Allison and Marc Married in Media podcast, Delicious Beverage. Go to www.deliciousbeverage.com. Use my code MARC, M-A-R-C 2020, and get 20% off that delicious beverage.